Good morning everyone. Today I am going to start your chapter 2 of history, that is from trade to territory. Okay? In this chapter we will read that how the Britishers who came in India as a trading company, how they became the masters of India, and we will also see all those factors which paved the way for the Britishers as a ruler of India. Okay? So here I just try to make this chapter according to the topics prescribed in your NCERT book. So if you having the NCERT book, please see these topics in your book also, as it will help you a lot to understand all these topics. Okay, so we will start the chapter. Students, Aurangzeb was the last of the powerful Mughal rulers. Okay, he established control over a very large part of a territory that is now known as India, but after his death in 1707. Okay, Aurangzeb died in 1707. So after the death of Aurangzeb, many Mughal governors, they started to asserting their authority and establishing the regional kingdom. Means the Subedars earlier who worked under the Mughal emperor, after his death they just started to asserting their powers and the authority over their regions, and they declared themselves as the ruler of their regions. Okay, this I am giving you a brief information about after the death of Aurangzeb, how his empire started to divided in different regions which were ruled by the Nawabs and the Nizams. Okay, so the first topic in your book is East India Company comes east. Okay, so in 1600 the East India Company acquired a charter from the ruler of England, that is Queen Elizabeth I, who granted them sole right to trade with the East. Okay, this meant that no other trading group in England could compete with the East India Company. So in the first point we have read that in 1600 the Queen of England, that is Queen Elizabeth I, granted them a royal charter and provide them sole right to trade with the East. Okay, but the royal charter could not prevent other European powers from entering the eastern markets. Means this charter which is given by Queen Elizabeth to trading company, this charter only prevent the other trading companies in England. This charter could not prevent the other European powers from entering the eastern part. Okay, so I am just informing you that before the arrival of the East India Company in India, the Portuguese had already established their presence in the western coast of India and had their base in Goa. Okay, in fact it was Vasco da Gama. We all know this, that he was the first European to land in India in 1498, and by the 17th century the Dutch too were exploring the possibility of trade in the Indian Ocean, and soon the French traders arrived in the same scene. Okay, so it was not only the East India Company but the other European trading companies like the Dutch, French and the Portuguese were also having their presence in India. Okay, so the Queen of England, they provided the sole right to the trading company to trade in India, and this East India Company, they just bought goods at the cheap prices and sold them at higher prices in Europe. Okay, and means through this process they just try to earn maximum profits by purchasing the goods at the cheap prices and sold those products in the European markets at higher prices. Okay, cotton, silk and spices were the cheap product which they having a trade in the Indian markets. Okay, so cotton and silk produced in India had a big market in Europe. Means the cotton and silk which is manufactured in India, it having a very great demand in the European market, as the Indian cotton and silk was known for its best quality and finishing. Okay, and India is also very much famous for its species like pepper, cloves, cardamom. Okay, all these things were purchased by the trading companies like the Portuguese, Dutch, the French and the Britishers. They deal in all those things to earn maximum profits in their European markets. Now the second topic in your book is East India Company begins trade in Bengal. In this topic we just see that how they started their trade in India, and they begin their trading activities from Bengal. Okay, so in 1651 the first English factory was set up on the bank of river Hooghly. This is in Bengal, means Kolkata. Okay, as when they reached in India, Aurangzeb was the emperor or the ruler of India, so he issued a farman granting the company right to trade duty free. Means Aurangzeb was the ruler who permitted the East India Company to have trade in Bengal. Okay, and he allowed to have trade duty free, means they were free to have trade in Bengal without any revenue or taxes. They didn't have to pay any tax or revenue to the ruler or the local authorities. Okay, so this started the desires among the East India Company, as the company started to try press for more concessions, and they just started to manipulate the existing privileges. Means company wants to maximize their profits, so they started to press for more concessions and they just try to manipulate the existing privileges. Means the privileges which were granted them by Aurangzeb, they just started to misuse all those privileges. Okay, now I have already told you that after the death of Aurangzeb, the Subedars and the governors who were under the Mughal emperor, they declared themselves as the ruler of their regions. So after the death of Aurangzeb, the Bengal Nawab asserted their powers and autonomy, and they were not very much happy with the privileges given by Aurangzeb to the company. They wanted some restrictions. Okay, so the Nawab of Bengal, that is Sirajuddola, that I will explain you later. So the Nawab of Bengal refused to grant company concessions, means the concession which were earlier they have, like the trade free from any type of duty. Okay, so the Nawab of Bengal, they just started to refuse to provide those grants to company. Okay, it led to a tension between the Nawabs and the company officials. Now the next topic is the Battle of Plassey. Students, this is the most important topic of this chapter, so please see this topic in your book also. So on the Battle of Plassey was held on 23rd June 1757. Okay, and it was the first major victory of the Britishers in India. Okay, now this is the first major war fought by the Britishers on Indian land, and this war is also paved a way for the expansion of the Britishers in India. Okay, as this was the first major victory of East India Company or the Britishers in India. This war was fought in 23rd June 1757, in which Sirajuddola was badly defeated. Okay, this I will explain you. So Ali Vardi Khan, who was the Nawab of Bengal, after his death in 1756, Sirajuddola became the Nawab of Bengal, and he was very much against the East India company or the Britishers and the concessions which were provided to them. He wants to make some strict actions against the company as they were consistently misusing the royal farman. The company wants a puppet ruler in Bengal which work according to their wishes, but Sirajudaulah did not want this as he was a great warrior and he is having a very great army also. So he is not willing to bow before the Britishers or the East India Company. So in 1757, Robert Clive led the company's army against the Sirajudaulah. Robert Clive was the commander of East India Company's army, okay, and he is a very important figure as he is considered as the founder of East India Company or the founder of the British rule in India. He was the first who laid the foundation of the British Empire in India, okay. So company, they just started to call their another unit from the Madras Presidency under the leadership of Robert Clive, and he fought the Battle of Plassey against Sirajudaulah, okay, and Sirajudaulah was badly defeated in this war because his military commander, that is Mir Jafar, okay, he never fought the battle, okay. So the main reason for the defeat of the Nawab was that the forces led by Mir Jafar, one of the Sirajuddaullah's commanders, he never fought the battle because Mir Jafar was promised by Clive to be made Nawab after the defeat of Sirajuddaulah, okay. So Robert Clive having a conspiracy with Mir Jafar as he promised Mir Jafar that he will be the Nawab of Bengal after the defeat of Sirajuddaulah, okay. So the conspiracy of Mir Jafar with Robert Clive was the major reason of defeat of Sirajuddaulah in the Battle of Plassey. So the next topic in your book is the Battle of Buxar. Students, after the defeat or assassination of, after the death of Sirajuddaulah in the Battle of Plassey, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal and he is like a puppet ruler who works according to the wishes of the East India Company. So after the defeat at Plassey, Sirajuddaulah was assassinated and Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal, okay. And Mir Jafar was just a puppet ruler. This I already explained you. Mir Jafar was just a puppet in the hands of the Britishers, and in 1764 the Battle of Buxar was fought between the Britishers and Mir Qasim, okay. Actually Mir Jafar was a puppet ruler who worked on behalf of the East India Company, but the company was not all the time happy with this puppet ruler because they were not doing and not always as helpful as the company wanted to them, okay. So when the company started to having the differences with Mir Jafar, they deposed him and they make Mir Qasim the Nawab of Bengal, okay. But when the Mir Jafar, the Mir Qasim also started to disobey, or he is not willing to accept all the terms and conditions of the East India Company or the Britishers. It led to the Battle of Buxar in 1764, okay. So in this battle Mir Qasim was also died and he was badly defeated, and in 1765 the puppet ruler Mir Jafar was also died, and in 1765 the Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the province of Bengal. Means company got the wholesale right of Diwani in Bengal. It means the collection of revenue or the taxes. Okay, so in 1765 the East India Company became the Diwan of the province of Bengal, and in this way the Bengal came under the rule or the domination of the Britishers. Okay, now the next topic is company officers became nabobs. Okay, in 1764, Robert Clive was appointed the governor of Bengal because he is the main, I have already told you that he is the main figure who played a very vital role in the expansion of the East India Company or the British Empire in India. So in 1764, after the Battle of Buxar, he was appointed as a governor of Bengal. Okay, and he is considered as the Nabob. Okay, here the word Nabob is an anglistic version of Indian word, that is Nawab. So there is no difference between Nawab and Nabob. Nabob only is the anglistic version of the Indian word Nawab. Now the next topic is expansion of the company's rule. In this topic we will see the steps taken by the East India Company for the expansion of their rule in Indian states. Okay, so the process of annexation of Indian states by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857 brought forth some key aspects, like company rarely launched a direct military attack on unknown territory. Means between the period of 1757 to 1857, company they never have to attack, they never have a direct intention to attack on any unknown territory. Means they wanted to let the expansion of their trade only, so they did this indirectly by influencing the local ruler in their favor. Okay, but after their victories in the Battle of Plassey and then the Battle of Buxar, the company started to appointed residents in the Indian states. Means they started to make the forts and the buildings for the residents of the British officials. Okay, and after this the company forced the state into a subsidiary alliance. This I will explain you, and I have already given this to you in your notes also, so please see the point subsidiary alliance in your notes also. It will help you a lot. This is very important topic of this chapter also. So the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. The Nawab of Awadh and the Nizam, they both were compelled by the company officials to accept the subsidiary alliance. So I will just give you a brief introduction of subsidiary alliance. Actually this alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Okay, he just want to establish control of company over the Indian kingdoms through this alliance. Okay, so through this alliance the company it just want to let the control over the Indian rulers or the kingdoms. Okay, the main features of this alliance was the Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. Means they will be protected by the British forces and they were to be protected by the company, and in return they have to pay for the forces. Okay, means under the provision of subsidiary alliance the Indian rulers they were not allowed to have their independent armies, as their states will be protected by the East India Company, and in return they have to pay for the forces. Okay, and if the Indian ruler failed to make the payment, then a part of his region was taken as a penalty. Okay, so these were the main provisions of subsidiary alliance. Now the last topic in your book is Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore. He is also a very important figure who fought very bravely against the East India Company. He, like the other ruler also, he is defeated, but he is known for his valor and his bravery. Okay, That is why he is considered as the tiger of Mysore. So Tipu Sultan was the son of Hyder Ali and his father was the ruler of Mysore. Okay, his father died in 1782 and then Tipu Sultan became the ruler of Mysore and he ruled over Mysore from 1782 to 1799. Okay, so the Mysore rulers, they fought 4 wars against the Britishers and those wars were called Anglo-Mysore wars. Okay, and these wars were fought between the period of 1767 to 69. Then the next one is 1780 to 84, in which his father died, Hyder Ali, and third war is between the period of 1790 to 92, and in the last war, that is in 1799, Tipu Sultan was also died. Okay, actually the Britishers, they wanted to expand their trade in the southern region also. So Mysore was also a region which is very rich in terms of its natural resources, especially the species. So the Britishers wants the expansion of their trade in this region also. It led a tension between the Mysore rulers and the Britishers. Okay, as the rulers of the Mysore, both Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, they both having a very good relations with the French, which makes the Britishers very much furious. Okay, actually Tipu Sultan was very much inspired by the way the French led their armies, so he came to learn so many things from them also. That is why the Britishers, they were very much furious because of increasing power of Tipu Sultan and they just want to crush him as soon as possible. Okay, so the 4 wars fought between the rulers of Mysore and the Britishers, and the last war which is fought in 1799, the Britishers won the battle of Srirangapatnam and they defeated the ruler of Mysore, that is Tipu Sultan, and he was died or killed on the way defending his capital, that is Srirangapatnam, and it led to the end of the Mysore ruler. And in this way the British led the expansion of their region in the Mysore also. Okay, so in this chapter we have read about how the Britishers, they led their expansion not only in terms of trade but also in terms of their rule in India. Okay, and we have also read all those factors which were responsible for their expansion in India. I hope you all are able to understood all these points. So if you having any problem, please ask me. Okay, students, do your work properly and see the notes which I have been provided you, and see those notes also. Okay, it will help you a lot. But still, if you will face any problem or the difficulty, please ask me. Thank you.